Hello and welcome to GCS Today here on Channel 21, the program that brings you news and information from Gaston County Schools. I'm Todd Higgins. On today's episode, we talk with Carrie Minnich and Joey Clinton about their retirement, and we look back on their many years of dedicated service to Gaston County Schools. Joining me on GCS Today is Carrie Minnich. She is the Executive Director for Exceptional Children. Carrie, it is great to see you. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you for having me, Todd. I'm glad to be here.
Okay, Carrie, has it set in that you are retiring from Gaston County Schools?
Just this week, it has begun to hit me as I'm wrapping up those last projects, sitting in some of my regular meetings for the last time, touching base with people that are going to be taking over pieces of what I do, that this is the end. It's the end of a really great journey that I've had, and a little bit bittersweet for me.
So let's reminisce about your career. You have been a teacher, a school administrator, and a central level director in Gaston County Schools. So what are some of the highlights of your career?
So I think there are many highlights after 30 years, but when I was a teacher, a first-year teacher at Warlick Elementary School, I really got to jump in and get my feet wet quickly because I was the only EC teacher there. And so I had the opportunity to work with lots of different types of students. And to this day, they are some that I remember the most, the ones that sat with me after school that finally got a concept that we had been working on and looked at me and said, thank you, just thank you for taking the time. That, to know that even a fifth grader could be appreciative of that and recognize it. Those that were severely behaviorally challenged, that were able to make progress and stay in their classrooms all day. When I moved to Brookside Elementary, I got to be one of the first teachers in the county to pilot co-teaching. And that was really exciting, and we had great growth in our students that year. So to be able to be a part of something like that the first time and then see it work was probably one of the best highlights of my teaching career. As a principal, probably my highlight was when I was at Lowell Elementary. And when I went there, they were at 81 or 82% proficient. And when I left 3 years later, we had hit that 90% mark and had become a school of excellence. Seeing the hard work that staff did in that 3 years that I was there and the changes they were willing to make was really, really exciting during that time.
Well, let's talk about during your time as a classroom teacher, what principles guided your work?
As a classroom teacher, I worked first for Bobby Holland, and she was just the best mentor. She was willing to talk through anything with me. She was willing to let me take chances and try new things. She even gave me the opportunity to be in charge of the school when she went to a principal's meeting during my second year as a teacher, probably because I had more flexibility than some of the classroom teachers, but also I think a little bit because she saw something in me that, it gave her some confidence to let me be the one to be in charge of an emergency, but that really did give me confidence and helped me grow. And so her encouragement along the way really helped me, I think, more than any other principal when I was a teacher.
So think about the guiding principles when you stepped into the role as a principal and also as a central office leader. Talk about those principles. I imagine that you always made sure that whatever the role you were in, that the students were first and foremost on your mind.
Absolutely. I think that is one thing I love about Gaston County Schools the most. No matter what position I was in, students are always at the forefront of the decisions that we make. And when you're a teacher, that's just a smaller little piece of the puzzle that you do. But as an administrator of a school or at the district level, to really know that you are allowed to do that and to take care of each and every student the best that we can is really encouraging. And I know when talking with some of my peers, sometimes that's not always the case. Sometimes they're they have to make hard decisions. And I think what I love is I've always, if I have felt adamantly about something, my bosses and the leaders that I work with have found a way to make it work for a child, whether it be one child or a school full of children.
So talk to us about what it has been like to lead the Department for Exceptional Children.
I have loved leading this department. And, exceptional children is what brought me into the business. And so to end my career here is just amazing. And I remember as a teacher going to my first meeting with Ruth Angel, who was, of course, the director at that time many years ago, and sitting there just thinking, I wonder if I could ever be good enough to be part of her team, and just to have that opportunity to come back and not only be a part of the team, but to lead that team has just been the best way to end my career.
So think about the stories, events, activities, happenings that took place during your 30-year career with Gaston County Schools. What story or event or activity sticks out in your mind?
It's funny, Tom, but I think the 50th anniversary parade was probably one that I enjoyed the most, very unexpectedly, because that's not typically something that I would enjoy doing. But seeing so many of my former colleagues come back and get a chance to catch up with them was so much fun. Seeing the support from the spectators that were there that came out to support all of the schools was so much fun. And, even falling off the float at the very end, thankfully not on camera, was just a fun way to remember the day. And especially because I was on that float with people that loved me and that, were very quick to help me get back up and get moving. But that was really just a nice celebration that made me feel good, and one that I do remember fondly.
Well, Carrie, thank you for saying that. I've heard several people say that they felt like the anniversary parade was a big homecoming.
Yes,
people in
that's
Gaston.
A good way to put it.
So thank you for sharing that. And I'm glad that you could be a part of that event, and that event made an impression on you. So your daughter is a fourth grade teacher at Hawks Nest STEAM Academy. What is it like to see your daughter following in your footsteps?
Todd, it is so much fun to see her follow in my footsteps, and I'm so proud of her. Just like I followed in my mom's footsteps, and my sister is an educator as well, to see Allie learn and grow and love what she does every day is really so much fun. But I'm especially proud that she gets to be part of the team that's leading the personalized learning journey for Hawks Nest and the county. And she's had the opportunity to do some really amazing things, even as a young educator. So I have thoroughly loved watching her, and I'm so glad she will continue to be a connection for me with Gaston County. So you're not rid of me just yet.
And we certainly hope that Allie is planning on a 30-year career in Gaston County Schools, just like her mom.
I think she is.
So let's think about those new teachers or those people out there that are thinking about the teaching profession. What advice would you give to them to encourage them to become a part of public education?
I think just like I did with Allie, that I would encourage them by telling them there truly is no greater profession to make a difference in the life of a child. The children we teach go on to become the doctors or the president or the engineers that later on rule the country and help us move forward. And I'm honored to be a part of that. And when you look back after a 30-year career and think about all the children that you impacted, I just don't think there's many professions where you have the opportunity to say, I truly made a difference. And I think that is the biggest thing that I would encourage new people or prospective teachers to think about.
Now, with retirement, it brings about time for rest and relaxation. So
yes.
As you look ahead to retirement, What are you looking forward to?
Well, immediately, I'm looking forward to a trip to Disney World. Not been in a long time, and I think that'll just be a fun, way to start this new adventure. But what I'm really most looking forward to every day is just the opportunity to sleep till I wake up, have coffee while I watch the news, and have time to walk the dog every day. So those are my three things I'm looking forward to
It sounds like a good plan.
for a little while.
So when you think about your colleagues, what do you want them to remember about your time and your influence and leadership for Gaston County Schools?
I think I mostly want them to remember that I was a compassionate leader, that I cared about children and them, and the people that help the children, and that it really always is my biggest desire to do what's best and to help find good solutions to difficult problems.
Well, Carrie, you have been an outstanding leader for Gaston County Schools, from the classroom to the principal's office and to the central office. With everything that you have done, it is very obvious that you care about children and that you want the best for children, and you have worked diligently to make sure that you can provide the best for children. So thank you for an outstanding career and service to Gaston County Schools. I know that you will continue in retirement to be an advocate for Gaston County Schools. And I want to thank you for the support you have offered me. It has been a pleasure working with you, and we wish you all the best in retirement. And we want to say thank you for joining us here on GCS Today.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
You are watching GCS Today here on Channel 21. Stay with us. We will be right back.
I don't remember how it started.
Go to that.
Our back and forth. It always came back. Dad! You probably don't remember what you told me,
That was perfect.
but I heard every word.
Joining me on GCS Today is Joey Clinton. He is the Executive Director for Human Resources. Mr. Clinton, it is great to see you. Appreciate you being with us today.
Thank you, Mr. Higgins. It's a pleasure to be here with you and look forward to spending a little time with you this morning.
Okay, we are talking about your retirement. Can you believe that you are retiring?
When I think about retirement, it's hard to believe that, that my career in education with Gaston County Schools has come to an end, and I'm actually retiring. When you're in the arena per se of daily getting up and going to a job, retirement is something that's so far out that you don't, it's hard to believe that you'll get to that point at some point in your career, but it is definitely a bittersweet moment, and looking forward to the next chapter of my life.
So you started teaching in Gaston County Schools in 1993, and you have told the story that the principal at Highland Junior High School called to offer you a physical science teaching position. Now, you are a physical education teacher, but you thought physical science, physical education was close enough. You wanted a job and you took it. So is that the way the story goes?
So yes, that's pretty much the gist of the story. When the principal at Highland Junior High called, I was just so excited to have a job opportunity. It was at a point in education where jobs were hard to come by, and I can remember that day vividly in my mind. He had called the day before school started and was looking for a physical science teacher. And I remember telling him over and over, look, now you do understand I'm a physical education major. And he said, it'll be fine. You'll be fine. Don't worry about it. And so went and interviewed with with that individual and was offered the job and started that day. As soon as he offered me the job, he gave me a textbook and said, okay, school starts tomorrow. And I remember thinking, oh my goodness, what am I going to do? And I went home and worked on some lesson plans and started the next day as a physical science teacher. And it worked out because that next year I was offered a position as a physical education teacher. So it was a good experience.
And we are glad that you said yes to that physical science teaching job. So tell us, when you think about your teaching, the teaching portion of your career, what did you enjoy most about teaching?
The teaching portion of my career, I taught for 10 years. And the one thing that I enjoyed the most, obviously, was working with the students on a day in and day out basis. During that time, I was also a coach and athletic director, and having those extracurricular activities really were important to me at that time. And just getting to know the students on a very intimate basis, where you knew a little bit about their families, about their brothers, their sisters, their likes, their dislikes, and really trying to help motivate and mold them and teach them the curriculum that we were trying to accomplish.
Now, in Gaston County Schools, you probably are best known for your time as principal at Ashbrook High School. So tell us, what are some of the best memories you have about serving as a principal?
So that role as a principal was definitely one of the highlights of my career. And I served at both Greer Middle School and at Ashbrook High School as a principal. At Ashbrook High School, it was a fantastic tenure in my career. I can recall just the camaraderie in the school spirit, the individuals that I worked with there, my administrative team, the teachers, the support staff, and obviously the students. It was a community, and we worked very hard to make sure that it was inclusive and everybody was cognizant of the diversity and respected one another's viewpoints. And it was just a great opportunity, a great time in my career, following some of those championship ball teams that we had with basketball. Just an awesome display of just camaraderie amongst the students and the staff. And it was a great experience.
And you always had your green wave suit jacket to put on. It wasn't far away at any time, was it?
It never was. That was one of those things that constantly hung in my office. And if I were going down to a sporting event or to an athletic signing or an academic signing where individuals had received scholarships, I'd always put that green jacket on just to show that school pride and just how important we were and united we were as a school. And I thought that needed to start with me at the top, and I wanted to display that enthusiasm for everybody to see. So what advice would you give to someone who is thinking about becoming a teacher? Since my tenure in human resources, that's a question that I often get asked by some of our new teachers. They want to know why should I jump in this field of education, and what's in it for me, and I believe that education is a job that really you have to have a passion for. It's a job that you don't always see the fruits of your labor immediately. And so you have to be patient. But it's also a job that has great gratification in the fact that you're doing something to help or make things better for someone else. It's a job of service. And in every aspect of it, I think about teachers that are classroom teachers, our itinerant teachers, um, our support staff, all of those folks are working toward helping children be successful and ultimately help them be productive members of society. And that's what it's about. And you have to keep that in as part of your mantra and part of your thought process, because it is a very difficult job at times, and it becomes very exhausting. And so that would be the advice that I always give, first year teachers. And I'll be honest with you, Mr. Higgins, my first couple of years of teaching were without a doubt the most difficult of my entire career. So I always end with if you can make it through these first couple of years, you'll see that teaching becomes something that you get a knack for, and you develop a rhythm, and it really at that point, then you can craft that gift that you've been given to help students.
So while working in education, what has been your motto or your outlook?
When I was at Greer Middle School as the principal there, I tried to have a theme every year. And one of the themes that kind of stuck with me and people today, still when I'll greet them, they'll say that the little theme that I used there at Greer, and it was living the dream. And, someone would come up to me and say, "How you doing today, Mr. Clinton?" "I'm living a dream." And it was one of those things that just kind of caught on and followed me through my career. And other individuals would say that back to me. And that's kind of been my motto, because I think we have to tell ourselves from time to time, even when things aren't going our way or they're not as good as we want them to be, you have to constantly build yourself up so that you can have that enthusiasm. Because in this business of education, it's about enthusiasm. I think about some of the best teachers that I've ever watched or observed teach. Automatically I go to Mamie Chisholm, who's been in this district teaching for over 50 years. And just the enthusiasm that she has every day in her classroom is one of those special gifts. And it's one of those things that I've tried to instill in my role as an educator here in Gaston County as well.
So what will you remember most about your time with Gaston County Schools? And what would you like to say to your colleagues and to everyone who has gotten to know you over the years?
Well, one thing I would like to say to my colleagues, obviously, Mr. Higgins, is just thank you and just great gratitude to the colleagues that I was fortunate enough to work with. And it's amazing over a career of 30 years how many people you meet and how many people are intertwined in the bigger picture of education in Gaston County. We're all connected. And, I think back to those early days at Highland Junior High School and Martha Lowry and Kenny Howe and folks like that were in that building, and how those individuals early on in my career impacted me. But those were people that I kept evolving back to throughout my career. And I would see them in different roles and in different capacities. Miss Lowry and I worked together again when I was an AP at Forest View High School. And so it's amazing how we're all tied together in some way. And I'm just grateful for the opportunity to serve here in Gaston County and to have an opportunity to make a difference with students. The relationship piece that you develop with your peers is obviously the one thing I think that I'll miss the most. And I just look forward to continuing and hopefully being, having some role in education. Don't know if it'll be in Gaston County or if it'll be somewhere else, but just hoping to make an impact with the lives of students as I continue on in this next chapter of my life.
I think, Joey, that you are the person who will always be a champion and an advocate for public education and for Gaston County Schools. And whether you're working for us or in retirement, I know that you're going to be that person that will be our advocate and will continue to be a supporter of public education.
Yes, and I'd just like to add one final comment, Todd. The leadership in Gaston County is fantastic, from Dr. Booker to the central office folks, our principals in the buildings. We've got great principals. We've got great assistant principals. We have great teachers, and all that correlates to great students, and developing those students and giving them the opportunities that they need to be successful in the lives that they choose. And you're right. I'm going to always be an advocate for public education, and look forward to serving in some capacity somewhere soon.
Now, I know that with retirement, it is giving you more time to spend on your farm. I bet you're looking forward to that. Yes.
I'm looking forward to having some flexibility with time, because obviously that's the one thing that you have to give up when you're in different roles with a school system. And so now in this role of retirement, I'll have a little more time to farm, and we have some cows, and obviously do some vegetable growing and things of that nature. So I'm really looking forward to that, especially with spring coming on, and just spending more time too with family and friends, and just doing some of those things that typically you don't have the opportunity to do when you're working a full day on a daily basis throughout the week. So looking forward to it.
And Joey, if you ever add goats to your farm, you've got to let me know, because I want to come see them.
You bet I will.
Joey, we want to thank you for your outstanding service, 30 years of service to Gaston County Schools. You've had an amazing career. We could talk all day long about your career in Gaston County Schools, but I do want to thank you for your service. I want to thank you for the support of me and of the communications department. And please know that we wish you all of the best in retirement. Joey Clinton, Executive Director for Human Resources. Thank you so much, Mr. Clinton, for being with us here today on GCS Today.
Thank you, Mr. Higgins. And Mr. Higgins, one thing that I'm still going to continue to look for, especially during the winter months, are the Todd memes that I would see and would aggravate you about on Facebook from time to time. I love those, and I really appreciate you and all that you've done for this county. And if I can ever do anything for you, please let me know.
Thank you so much for that, Joey. And if you want us to keep your phone number in the call-in system, I'll be glad to work that out for you as well. Thank you for watching GCS Today here on Channel 21. Before we go, I would like to recognize Charlotte Wright, the Administrative Assistant for the Communications Department, who is also retiring from Gaston County Schools. Charlotte has worked with me as well as with Bonnie Reedy over the years, and we want to wish her all the best in retirement. Stay tuned to Channel 21 for the latest news and information from Gaston County Schools. For GCS Today, I'm Todd Higgins. We look forward to seeing you next time.